Good morning. This is Inga Cotton, and these are Charter Moms Chats, and we're going live around 9 a.m. on weekdays to present learning activities that families can do at home this summer. And we've been talking about distance learning resources and just, how to survive the pandemic and keep your kids well educated and having fun at home. Because we want to have things to look forward to, things to get excited about. And when we keep learning, I think it helps us all feel like we're still moving forward in spite of the obstacles that are out there. So I'm very excited to have a return guest. Audrey Hagopian is the head of school at Basis Phoenix Primary in Arizona. So she got up super early this morning to help us. But I want to be sure to mention that there are several Basis campuses here in San Antonio, and they share a lot in common as far as curriculum. So these are like liberal arts schools, but that have really advanced STEM education as far as math and science. And so Audrey, she's head of school now, but she used to be a 4th and 5th grade science teacher at Basis Primary, and so that's why she has come up with these really fun activities for us. So Audrey, I'm gonna let you take it away, and then towards the end we'll talk more about Basis and why families might want to learn more about it.
Good. Thank you for that warm introduction, Inga, and thanks so much for having me back on the San Antonio Charter Moms blog. I'm really excited to be here today. And I'm excited to share chemistry from my kitchen again, and I hope everyone's following along at home as well.
Well, I want to be sure to mention there's a link in the description of the video to find like the how-to and the instructions, ingredients, and all the stuff for the activity that Audrey's going to do today. So just be sure and check the link in the description of the video. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's great. I'm glad you mentioned that. So I thought we'd start off today with a little magic trick because I think some magic can spice up our lives when we're all stuck at home. So Inga, I'm actually going to use your help for this one. So you're going to be my test subject to make sure that what I'm doing, I'm not fooling anyone here. So I've got 3 cups here, and I've got a cup of just plain water here. I'm going to pour the water into one of the cups, and I'm going to mix the cups around. So pay really close attention to the cup that I poured the water into, okay? All right, so we've got our water here, and we're going into the cup.
Okay.
All right.
I'm watching.
I see the water in a cup. All right, and we're going to mix them up.
Okay, I'm watching carefully. Let's see.
All right. Where is the water?
Let me think. Is it the one in the middle?
One in the middle? Okay, so by
that's my guess.
I'm going to pour it over my head.
Is that the one with the water?
If you're right, I'm going to get dunked with water on live camera. So here we go. Inga says the middle cup. No water.
Uh-oh.
Maybe try this one. Maybe you're wrong. We'll dump it over. Okay. No water there. Try this one. And
whoa.
So, am I a magician? Did I make water disappear? Or is there an explanation behind this? So, let's see. I'm gonna grab a piece of paper towel. And you were right to guess the middle cup, so you were paying attention.
Okay.
But clearly there's no water in this middle cup, so we're gonna
put
cups. So what you didn't see is the magic, or as you know from the last episode, I like to call the science, is I snuck some powder in the cup beforehand. Just looks like simple white powder like this. And this powder is something that we call a super absorbent polymer. And this is part of the article that's up on the blog. And super absorbent polymers are really unique and fun substances that can absorb a massive amount of water, depending on the type, up to 300 times its own weight in water. So they could become almost 99.9% water. So that little half teaspoon of powder that I put in there absorbed all that water and is now this big chunk of gel, which let me pour it over my head without getting completely wet on camera. So we're going to use that trick, which is going to lead us into one of our activities. This month's blog post was all about weather. And I thought, you know, I live in Arizona. It's 110 degrees. Why not bring some winter to Arizona and make snow? And we're going to use a version of a super absorbent polymer to make snow today. So I'm going to pack up my magic.
It's been about 97 for a high in San Antonio. Last week it was about 105. So 105 plus humidity.
Plus humidity,
So I think you actually may have a better deal than we do right now. Yeah, I think we all need a little dreaming of winter right now.
So we're gonna dream of winter today in this winter weather activity, which is one of my favorites. So again, you're gonna start out using a super absorbent polymer. You can get it on Amazon for a few dollars. That's where I got mine. I know you can also find it at Walmart or at online science shops. And I think you said you already had some at home from a craft store as well.
Oh yeah, so we had actually bought some at the gift shop at the Whitty Museum. So the Whitty Museum is a science and natural history museum here in San Antonio, down near Breckenridge Park, and we love buying little kits and supplies and stuff at their gift store. So
that's great.
That's our local source for this stuff is the Whitty Museum.
So pretty easy to find, and it usually comes with a measuring scoop, which is really easy for the kids to use, and a measuring cup for water. So I'm going to use 2 scoops of powder and 140 milliliters of water for mine, but that might be slightly different ratios, so you'll just check the ratios on your own jar. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put 2 scoops of the powder into my chalice here.
I like it. Looks like something from King Arthur, right?
It adds a little bit of drama when you're making snow in the desert. And then I have 140 milliliters of H2O. It's just regular water here, and we're going to pour it directly on top of my snow powder or my super absorbent polymer. And we are going to watch what happens. Oh my goodness. And it is snowing in July quite a bit too. I think we're getting a blizzard out here. It's packed my chalice so much, as you can see.
It actually does feel a little bit cold, right? When you touch it, right? We noticed that when we played with it.
Yeah, and that's definitely going to depend also on the temperature of the water that you're using, but it does feel a little bit cool when you make it. And that kind of goes back to the gel-like substance of it. But as you can see, I started with a very small amount of powder, and I made quite a massive heap of snow here. And that just goes to show you how much it can absorb water and expand. And we have snow in July. So if you're doing this activity at home with your kids, like the last kitchen chemistry activity, I always say if you're doing it with little ones, start with a book. I think it's a great way to start off a science activity, especially if you're going to do all 4 activities. This is just one of 4 seasonal activities that are up on the blog. Start with a book about the 4 seasons, get them to think about how the different seasons look and feel, and then encourage them to play around with the snow, make comparisons. How is this similar or different to real snow? One way that we like to have young children test if this is real snow or not is try and make a snowball. And as you can see, this won't, you pack it together, but it won't bind into a snowball. Real snow you'd be able to pack together. So it's a good way to explore some of the similarities and differences between this and real snow. And then for your older kids, there's tons of links to chemistry here. I'm sure they can go in and explore the chemistry of super absorbent polymers some more, do some research, figure out some of the uses in real life. It has some real life applications. It's used in diapers. It's used in, it can contain spills by pouring this out, and it'll absorb the spill. So it has some really cool uses too. So, but fun to have some fun to have in your kitchen at home this summer.
Yeah, that was I think any parent who's had like a diaper fail, like where like it gets ripped or something, and then you're like, what is the stuff inside? It's like, well, now you know.
There you go. Yeah, now you know.
So, yep. Yeah. Yeah. It's really amazing stuff. Like my daughter had so much fun. Like that's her picture in the blog post. That, like she had so much fun playing with it in the backyard. And like, because
Yeah.
it's like you make it's fairly quick, but like just the sensory aspect of like getting your hands in it is really
Yes,
fun.
very
Yeah.
sensory. You can add food dye to the water and then color your snow, which can be a lot of fun. So you can make a rainbow of snow. And then you can experiment by leaving it out. So I know in Arizona, if you leave it out, since it's so dry here, it's going to return to the powder state. And then you can reuse it and pour water back on it. I think you had a different experience in Texas, right?
That's right. We left it out on a table in our backyard, and it actually became clear. It soaked up so much water from the air because it's so humid here that
Mhm.
it made this like clear slime on the
Lush.
table. That was fun to play with too, but then we had to clean it up. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And then an important note on cleanup is I always advise parents, don't put it down the sink, bag it up and throw it away. If you put too much down the sink because it absorbs so much water, you could get clogging your drain.
Yeah, don't
And
clog
it
the
is safe.
sink.
Yeah, it is safe to touch and for kids to play with as long as they don't touch their eyes while they're playing with it, and then wash their hands. But I know these days we're all good about not touching our faces and washing our hands, right?
That's right. Yeah, yeah. Well, that is great. And then, so I just want to reinforce that. Okay, so this activity is the winter activity, and
Mhm.
then I made some little highlights here. Okay, so the spring activity is rain in a jar, right? And
Yes.
so some of the materials, that's the one that you need like shaving cream and some food coloring
Mhm.
and like a little jar and stuff.
Yes, you can simulate what happens when a rain cloud becomes so saturated that, then we see rain fall from the sky. So it's a really fun one to do for those spring showers. Um,
And then for summer, you have an example for
I
us. Now
do.
this is one that does not lend itself well to video because it takes a few hours for
It does.
the project to develop. So
So
we
I
have to
do
do
this.
like super time lapse.
Yeah, super time lapse. I put some objects on. I just have a black sheet of construction paper, put a few objects on it, put it out on my patio. I think I came back only 2 or 3 hours later. And again, Arizona sun. I was amazed at how strong some of these imprints came out. So
Wow.
we've got like a little pineapple toy here. We had a cube that we put down here. We put our house keys down over here. Those ones didn't work because they got blown a little bit in the wind.
Hmm.
And then we had a
Oh
little
yeah, that's right.
circular orb.
One of the tips you had in the post was to get like repositionable glue, like a craft glue, and then
Yes,
that'll keep the objects stuck. And
down.
then like another way to do the activity is you can do it in the window, but it might take a little longer because the glass actually filters some of the light
Correct.
out, right?
I see you've done some of your own chemistry homework.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this one, if you want to press leaves, which are light, but they can make really pretty imprints, you use the repositional glue and you can collect leaves or flowers from your garden and help them stay so they don't blow away. And you can make some really pretty art with the sunstain art. And then also teaches kids about the power of the sun. Again, this was only 2 or 3 hours, and you can see the difference in, the original color of the paper and then what it stained to. Also, great activities to show why we should wear sunscreen.
Yeah, 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 for real. That's a good activity for both Arizona and Texas because these are,
Yes.
in the summer we have really bright sunlight, so might be harder to do in the winter.
Yeah.
But yeah, we definitely have enough sunshine now. And then so the fall activity, this is one that we didn't have a picture of because it's like you kind of have to be up close
Get
to
really close.
observe it. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
designed this
but
one
it makes
thinking of those like foggy fall days. And it's really cool. It's again, you have to be up close to be able to see it. But you simulate basically difference in temperature and pressure that causes fog and clouds. And then when you're done, you can take the top off and see your cloud release up into the air. So that's a fun one.
That's really cool. I like how in the post you explain, I mean, like your inspiration for this came from your experience with your students and like how much
Mhm.
they were always curious about the weather and they were asking
Yeah.
questions about the weather. And I think just like in general, this is like, me advice to parents is like, if you listen to the questions your kids ask, that's a great way to find, get inspiration for the activities that they're going to get excited about, right?
Mhm.
So I mean, we're trying to present lots of activities, but if you just like listen to your kids and the questions they ask and then go to some of like you've got some great links in the post or things like
Mhm.
NASA and Kids Botanica and National Geographic, and like so
Geographic
beyond just the weather activities, like those sites have great information about a lot of different science topics, and those are high quality, reliable
Yes.
information sources about science. So
Yes.
yeah, that's something we've been
I
talking about in our group a lot, is like information quality, and like having kids being digital savvy, but also like adults, like we want to share high quality news sources in our group.
mhm,
So I support
absolutely.
high quality sources.
I think a lot of parents and teachers can relate to, all the questions is why is the sky blue? Why is it raining? Why is there a rainbow? And so the weather activities can really let them get hands-on with that. And then as you mentioned, the links, I really want to give parents the resources to empower them to be able to explore these different topics with their kids. So there's some good resources in there too.
Yeah. Look, I want to be sure, like in our Charter Mom chat, that we also talk about how this relates to BASIS, because this is
Yes.
something, I mean, like the overall mission for San Antonio Charter Moms, we're trying to elevate the quality of education in San Antonio by informing parents so that they know how to find schools that are the right fit for their kids. So,
Mhm.
so if you could talk more about, like what's it like for kids learning science at BASIS. I'm gonna add the website too. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I started my BASIS journey as a science teacher. And I just had an absolute blast teaching with BASIS. I think one thing that sets BASIS apart is that we really lean on subject expert teachers teaching our classes. So it's really common for those science teachers and history teachers and English teachers to have a degree in the subject that they're teaching. So my background's originally in chemistry and toxicology. So I was able to bring a lot of my own experiences in the lab and as a science student to my classroom, and really just be able to focus in on one subject, which is my single passion of science. We're a liberal arts curriculum, so we our kids take a lot of courses in English and history. They study Latin, but we also have a really strong science element to our curriculum as well. Our students take general science courses starting in kindergarten all the way through 5th grade. They also take an engineering course starting in kindergarten. And then starting in 6th grade, we split out that general science course into separate chemistry, biology, and physics classes. So that they can, even at that young age, they can really start diving into those individual subjects taught by separate science subject expert teachers. And with that prep work of 3 years of chemistry, biology, and physics in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, they feel a lot more confident and prepared going into the AP exams in those courses later on in high school. And then they also get, more time to see where their passion lies. Is it in chemistry? Is it in physics? Is it in biology? They get to really explore their own interests.
Yeah, and that leads to some of the really cool capstone projects that some of the seniors get to do, right? Like some of them are actually working in labs, or they're working at universities
Mm-hmm.
and doing yeah, because I think sometimes like to really get the best out of kids, you almost have to let them pick the challenge, let them
Yes.
pick the mountain that they want to climb, and then find the expertise out there in the community. And the fact that BASIS lets seniors have that amount of flexibility, I think is really remarkable. And I've seen some remarkable projects come out of BASIS senior capstone projects.
It's really cool what they get to accomplish. And so, as you said, a lot of them will go and work in real labs and get that real life experience before they're even going off to college. They'll take capstone courses. We have them in organic chemistry. I've seen zoology, genetics. So all different courses that delve into the sciences. And I'm speaking specifically about the sciences. There's tons of capstone courses in the humanities as well. But as you said, it lets them find their own passion and get really excited about a topic that they enjoy.
Yeah, when I've toured BASIS campuses, I remember visiting when they were doing like kind of the engineering project this was at a primary campus, and like the students
Mm-hmm.
were like, it was actually sort of quiet in the room because they were so involved in their activities. They were in
Into
their
what they
little
were
group.
doing.
Yeah, like they were in their little groups around, and like they were like handing each other materials and like building, and like they were so focused, and they had like, and like every project looked different on each table,
Mm-hmm.
right? They all had a common set of materials, but they were making it individual to what their group wanted it to be. And
Our
it was just,
engineering labs are always a hub of excitement on campus.
Yeah, and it's things like that. I think sometimes young kids they kind of wonder, why do I have to go to school? Or like, what, like if their passion is in science, then they're wondering, why do I have to do spelling? But I think
Mhm.
for some kids, like having those moments on campus where their imagination can just run, I think that gives
Yes,
joy, that makes them feel engaged with school and want to stay involved. So if you have that kind of
absolutely.
kid, right? It's like,
Yeah. We also have this unique class in the primary years called Connections. And it's perfect, for those questions of, well, why do I have to learn this? Because the Connections class, it's all about building connections. And they're hands-on project-based classes where we're taking skills that we learned in math, in history, in English, in music, in art, in martial arts, and combining them into big projects where they can see that, oh, I really actually need to use my math skills to do this portion of the project, or I really need to be well-spoken and write up my results to do this portion of the project. So I know our kiddos love that class too.
yeah. The connections class is really important. Okay, so let's see. Before we close out, I want to be sure to mention that there is a new Basis campus opening in San Antonio this fall. It's Basis San Antonio Northeast, and
Mhm.
actually, there's also a campus opening in Austin
Yes.
this fall, and those are both starting with the primary
Mhm.
grades. So, but there are more Basis campuses, all the way up through 12th grade here in San Antonio. But just I particularly want to highlight the Basis San Antonio Northeast, and I think they have open seats still
They
in
do.
a
They're
few
still
grades.
enrolling.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So and then also like just a little preview for we're working on a blog post about sort of Basis's approach to back to school during coronavirus. So
Mhm.
and some of our group members have talked about how they felt like Basis was very adaptable and very responsive to the challenges of coronavirus and having remote education because Basis already had a good infrastructure of technology, like
Mhm.
using how to communicate with parents and then using Microsoft Teams. So,
Mhm.
Audrey, can you comment on like how your campus has used Microsoft Teams?
Yes, we learned a lot very quickly, but we were really proud that we took 24 hours. That was it to get it up and running. And so we started using Microsoft Teams for just our older students, so our fourth and fifth graders. But we found that even our little ones were really able to utilize it, and so we ended up rolling it all the way down to kindergarten. So they were able to access their lessons, their recorded lessons. They were able to interact with their teachers live during student hours to ask questions. We would have classroom chats and hangouts where they could come together with their classmates and still get that social interaction. And then our student support team was also able to use Microsoft Teams to still provide that academic and social emotional support that they would normally get if they were in person, by providing sessions on Microsoft Teams as well for that. So we learned a lot very quickly. We were really proud of our students and our families with how quickly they adapted as well.
Yeah. I think that's something that I observed from like the families that I know is that um, the Basis culture, it's very much about having a love of learning and like not just
Mhm.
going through the motions, but like being really curious about things. And it seems like that even with the challenges of distance learning, that Basis still kept the curiosity fired up, and that students were very engaged and we're getting a lot out of it. And I think
Our
that's
teachers did a great job about adapting that, project-based learning and bringing that spark and joy of learning from the campus to home. And so designing projects similar to what we're doing here with kitchen chemistry, of things that you can do in your own home with what you already have to still get to experience engineering and music and art, and still get to practice your martial arts, in your backyard.
yeah. Well, I really appreciate that. That's like this activity. I feel like I'm really proud to have it on the blog because not only is it something that's really fun for families to do at home, and like you don't have to be a Basis family. Like all families
Yeah.
and really all ages can
Yes.
enjoy these activities, and
Mhm.
have some science learning, and just have some fun and excitement, and make some good memories with your kids. But
Yeah.
it's an introduction to the type of learning that Basis presents in science
Mhm.
classes, and how you'll get kids excited about learning science.
High schoolers are just big kids. I guarantee that they'll like this just as much as your 5-year-old will.
That's true. I enjoyed it. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
pretty
I
cool,
do
so,
too.
yeah.
It's very soothing.
It is. And we all, it is really hot out there. So yeah,
Yeah.
playing with some snow feels really good.
Bring some snow to your summer.
Yeah, and if you want, make like get some like miniature houses, make like a little Christmas village. What,
Yeah.
you know, why not, right? Yeah,
Bring in that art element of steam, right?
that's right. That's right. Yeah. Okay. Well, Audrey, I'm so thankful. Thank you for crafting these activities, and I'm really proud to share them on the blog. And I hope that families will, you know, have a look at BASIS if this is the kind of learning that you think your kids would enjoy. So
Yes, and thank you for having me, and on behalf of BASIS as well. Again, we're really proud and honored to be a part of the work that you're doing. So thank you again.
I really appreciate it. Okay. All right. Well, I hope to see you again soon.
All right. Have a good
Okay.
one.
Bye.
Bye.